Welcome back to the AB Scale Project. I'm Krager. This is Off Bravo, and today we're starting off with the brand new Legacy of the Primes Sky-Byte. He looks pretty cool. Turn around, or Age of Primes, sorry. He looks pretty cool. Very kibbly, because they went back to, they did an update on the original mold, so you got a lot of stuff hanging off the back, so very reminiscent of the original. Articulation wise, his head is on a ball joint. Look down and around. Kibble's a little bit in the way, but you can, move that and do that. The hand does spin, but it's not automatic anymore. And you can flip these claws down to either side you want, or whatever you want to do. So, and then it comes with the gun that replaces the old spring-loaded launcher. You take that out. Really tight tolerance. But his wrist swivels, so that's good. So whichever orientation he's at, you can move it. One problem I did find with him that he doesn't like to stay. That backpack doesn't like to stay where it's at. And of course, kickback runs into the animal face. You got two joints there. Yeah, and you got some decent ankle tilt. Not extreme, but some decent ankle tilt. So yeah. Yeah, one thing I'm just out of the box has a hard time keeping that all together. Get a good snap on there. Of course, this stuff comes off. You can take these off if you want to. They're just on a peg, and so it does actually doesn't matter which side you put them on, because you can just take them off later. So you can strip them down to you can strip them down to that if you want to get all the articulation and have them less bulky. But if you want to have all this kibble on, put that back on over here. You just peg that on. Peg that on. Put these guys back here. And his gun again. Like I said, tight tolerance. There you go. Alright. So, compare them to our current winner as soon as I get those knees back where they were supposed to be. Get the T30, which admittedly the T30 Sky-Byte was probably one of the weakest of the T30s. I'll say that, especially with the fact that if you used his elbow, turned his elbow around, his wrist had to do that. So yeah, he was articulation challenged. But of the same line that gave us the Thrilling 30 Springer, which is probably still one of the best toys around, this one was a little disappointing. This is the appearance from the IDW comics, though, because that's what was out when the comics came out. And it's also a lot less kibbly on the back. Of course, it is hollow as all get out, but it is less kibbly, and the shark kibble is managed much better. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk shark mode. And here we got Sky-Byte in his shark mode. It looks pretty good, pretty show accurate. Really like it. You can put his gun in his mouth like the original toy, so that's pretty neat. And one thing I will say is that the previous Sky-Bytes haven't had a lot of articulation in shark mode. You can actually open the jaw like you could, but you can also turn it up, so you can almost get him into his singing, dancing mode. But that's cool. He actually has some articulation there. Of course, these will flap like that. But then you can also get his tail to move, because I remember the original one just had his tail permanently molded in one side. So that's pretty neat. We actually got some shark articulation. So I'll give it to Age of Primes for that. That's pretty neat. And it just looks good. I'll say that. That's a really good looking shark. Bring in the T30, which still has trouble staying tabbed in. Again, it has, that for articulation. It can do that. That's about it. Not as impressive. And more to the comic instead of the show. Let's see if we can get them both in the shot here. There you go. Then you can kind of compare them between them. Where you got some articulation here. This looks more like the original, cartoon, where this looks like the comic book, because the comic book based it off this toy. And like I said, note there's a lot more articulation here. So that's pretty neat. Alrighty, let's go ahead and do our final determination. So is this our new IDW G1 Sky-Byte? Actually kind of a tough choice, because this is what was in the IDW comics. He wasn't in G1, he was only in RID 2001. So for IDW accuracy, it's the T30, plus, the kibble management is so much better on the T30. But the articulation and the basically solidness of the new Age of Primes is better. So kind of dealer's choice there, but if you want comic accuracy, you're going to stick with the Thrilling 30. For RID 2001 accuracy, yes, you're going to want the Age of Primes, because they basically just did an update on the old mold. And if you want the more show accurate chest, you go with the new one. So for IDW G1, keep your Thrilling 30. For RID 2001 shelf, get the new Age of Primes. Alright, on the next one. Next up is Heatwave, and he looks really good. I mean, if you like rescue bots, you're definitely going to like this guy. They did update the head, so it looked more like a chug head, but still kept the fire hat, so that's really cool. And plus we have the return of light piping that you can't really see with the ring light, but he does have light piping eyes, so that's really cool. It comes with his clear weapons like the rescue bots did, so that's pretty cool. Turn him around here. He's got a ladder back there that pops on and off. This is the bulkhead mold redone, which is pretty extensive remolding, but the basic mechanics are the same. So we'll bring in the bulkhead so you can see all the difference I made there. Pretty much just the forearms, the mid-arm there, and the thigh or the calf area and feet. That's pretty much all that's the same. The rest is all redone. I mean, they got rid of the tires that were up here and just had another panel in there that just kind of flicks about. So yeah, just that shin area and the forearms and most of the arms except the shoulders. All right. And we'll take a look at the current winner. Got my custom Nexus Prime Heatwave, or my Shattered Glass Heatwave. And so, yeah, these could actually be like, this is a regular universe, this is the Shattered Glass, but, if you want the G1 accuracy, this is where you're going to be. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at the fire truck mode. And here we have Heatwave in his truck mode, and he looks really good. Looks like actually looks like the original toys out there, because they didn't really have the extending ladder or anything like that, and they were kind of stubby. So it works. It works as the rescue bot fire truck. So it looks pretty good. Packs away like Bulkhead did. Overall, not bad. And also having the all clear cab there. That's pretty cool. We'll bring in Bulkhead so you can see the difference. Again, just a ton of remolding going on here. The fuel tanks, and of course, like I said, the calf area are the same. And the feet. But otherwise, they did a lot of work to go from a military transport to a fire truck, and I think they did a really good job of it. Alright, bring in the current winner. The Power of the Primes custom. And you see, Power of the Primes does a little bit more convincing job of being a fire truck. But this reminds you of Rescued Heroes. I mean, that's just Rescue Bots. That it does its job. I'll say that. So yeah. And then of course you can flip that up and you can see Nexus Prime's head. But yeah. But anyway. I like it. It's very reminiscent of the Play School toys. And everything fits like it should. So yeah, it does the job. Alright, let's make our final decision. So is this our new IDW G1 Heatwave? Well, if you want to use it, go ahead, because otherwise you're using just the kids' toys unless you've made a custom like I have. Or you have the original BotCon Heatwave. I'd still want this probably over the original BotCon. But as far as G1 accuracy, it will be my custom Heatwave for me, just because he does still have his combining gimmick and the close to modern articulation. He doesn't have, the ankle tilt or wrist swivel, but he's got pretty modern. So for G1, keep that. If you want to start a Rescue Bot shelf, get the new Heatwave. All right, let's wrap this up. Oh, almost forgot. Take out Heatwave. We'll put him back there. We'll bring in the other rescue bots. We'll bring in Chase here. And Medics. So there's where we got our Chug rescue bots so far. We just need that Blades and Boulders. Alright, now let's wrap this up. And that's it for the day. Thank you for joining us today on the AB Scale Project. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, ring that bell, and I'll see y'all later.